Okay, so for small group today, we will be working on, we will be practicing our reading comprehension skills by summarizing a text. And today we will be reading about prairie ecology. Okay, so when you summarize a text, you're pulling important information and writing it in your own words. Can you tell me some ways you summarize stories that you've learned? It can be anything.
Just reading it and just kind of reading it and like just give like a basic definition on what happened.
Yeah, like
beginning, middle, end.
what about the beginning, middle, and end?
You basically say the main part in the beginning, middle, and end.
Nice. Okay, so that's what's. Is
Or
that?
I learned about like the falling action, the rising action.
There you go. Yeah, that's
Start-
parts of the
something like that.
stories. Good job. So, what are some like? Could you highlight? Could you underline?
Yeah, so I always like highlight or underline the like why did this happen, when did it happen, where did this happen,
Perfect.
and stuff like that.
Yeah, really good. Good job, guys. Okay. So, today we are going to focus on summarizing text to help us better understand what a text is about. So I just have some steps for how we would summarize a text, which you all touched on. So first, you would read the text all the way through. If the text is too long, like this one, see how it's a bunch of paragraphs? You can also break it down into sections, which is what we're going to do today. So after reading, we're going to go through and highlight or underline the main ideas, definitions, and supporting information that we would need, much like what you guys were saying. And then once you have your information highlighted / underlined, we're going to turn to the back and we're going to put it in our own words. So we're going to summarize it. Okay, and then when your summary is done, you're going to flip back to the front and just compare what you wrote to what it actually says.
Okay.
So, now I'm going to pass out the story, which is again about prairie ecology.
Well, seems pretty cool.
So we're going to look at the story together. First, I will show you how to summarize, or I will show you the steps that we just talked about. So I will practice the steps and show you how, and then we'll do it together. Guys, please stop. And then you'll do it on your own, okay? Okay, so first, I'm going to model it for you. So I'm going to I'll read the first 2 paragraphs, okay? I'll do these myself and then show you how. So while I am reading, I'm going to highlight the important information, like I said. So and this one has a lot of good definitions in it, and it explains what a prairie is, what eco means, what all of that, okay? So first sentence, the prairie is a natural ecosystem. Eco means house. An environment is a home. System is a word that comes from another word meaning places together. A ecosystem is a place where plants and animals fit together. The tall grass prairie is a special kind of ecosystem. Read about ways 3 animals live in the tall grass prairie. Then you will understand more about how things fit together there. So there's a lot of good definitions that I can underline. So for example, the prairie is a natural ecosystem. You guys can go ahead and highlight that too. And then you can do eco means house, or house. That's okay, you can underline if the highlighter isn't working.
Yeah, I don't think that's supposed to happen.
No, I think my highlighter is worse.
Supposed to small.
Why don't, okay, do you want to just underline it then? Okay, underline if your highlighter isn't working, guys. Okay? Okay, so eco means house. System, we could underline what system means. System is a word that comes from another word meaning place together. So then that means that all together means an ecosystem is a place where plants and animals fit together. Okay? So we're going to move on to the next paragraph. So above the prairie, you will see the skipper butterfly. It depends on the plants here throughout its life. Butterflies begin life as an egg. The female butterfly lays eggs on a plant. She lays them inside a shell to protect them. The larvae of a butterfly eat through that shell. what is a larva? It looks like a hairy worm. Its outside is flexible but tough. Scientists also call this stage of the butterfly's life a grub. It has no wings. It also is called a caterpillar, which we're probably more familiar with. The larvae eat the plant leaves. As it eats, the larva grows quickly. The larva molts. That means it sheds its outside layer of skin. It does that because it needs to grow. The old skin is too tight. After some time, the larva makes a pupa. A pupa is a kind of shell. Inside that shell, it does something really surprising and wonderful. It turns into a butterfly with wings. That takes about 2 weeks. So for this one, it basically just tells us about the life cycle of the butterfly. So we can go through and we can find, let's see. So we find out that what is a larva? It looks like a hairy worm. It has no wings.
The outside is flexible.
Yeah, you can underline that too. Its outside is flexible but tough. And then you could also say it's called a caterpillar. So the larva eats the plant leaves. As it eats, the larva grows quickly. We could do the larva molts. And then the following sentence, that means it sheds its outer layer of skin. So now we know what molts means. It does this because it needs to grow. The old skin is too tight. After some time, the larva makes a pupa. A pupa is a kind of shell. We can underline that too, because it tells us what a pupa is. Because before reading this, I didn't know what that word meant either. And then inside that shell, it does something really surprising and wonderful. It turns into a butterfly with wings. That takes about 2 weeks. So if you wanted to, you could also underline it turns into a butterfly with wings. So now I have underlined or highlighted for you guys what I think is important, and then I'm going to flip over to the back and I'm going to summarize the first paragraph and the second paragraph in my own words, okay? So I'm going to write that the prairie is an ecosystem. Wait, hold on for a minute. So I'm going to write, and we can flip back and forth when we're writing in between to help us remember what we want to write. So, we're going to write that, actually we're going to combine the 2 paragraphs because there's enough information that we could summarize these into like 2 or 3 sentences, okay? So we are going to write that the prairie is a place That's a great question.
P-A-P-R-A-I-R
Yes.
R-I-R-I-E.
P-R-A-I-R-I-E. Yeah. So the prairie is a place where we can say living things live together. And then we could do a comma. This is also called an ecosystem.
Wait, sorry. So what's after the prairie?
Yeah, okay. So the prairie is a place where living things live together. This is also called an ecosystem. And then we are going to summarize, because the second paragraph is a lot, it just talks about butterflies and the life cycle of a butterfly. So we're going to summarize the life cycle of a butterfly. So, does anybody okay, so where living things live together. Thank you. Okay, now for the second paragraph, let's see. So I'm going to write in 1 or 2 sentences probably. The butterfly begins life as an egg. Okay, so begins life as an egg, and then, so the butterfly begins life as an egg, and then it eats through so then it through TH THR.
Okay, yeah, I'm just gonna leave it out because I can't.
You're fine. Okay, so then it eats through its shell. Okay. What is it called when it comes out of its shell? Who remembers?
A grub.
A larva.
All three of those were correct.
What? I'm writing a grub.
That's fine. Sounds good.
A
So
grub.
when it exits the shell or eats it, it is a grub, caterpillar, larva, whatever you want to use. I'm going to use larva because it's also short.
It eats through its shell as a grub, right?
Yes, that works too. And then we're going to skip down to the larva will lose its, I think it's skin, right?
How do you lose the skin if you're hairy?
It's a, I think, let's see.
Is it a metaphor?
I don't think it's like furry. I think it's like how we're hairy. Like a light, like thin hair. So the larva will lose its shell. You could also write the larva will outgrow its shell if you want to. As it grows. So the larva will lose its shell as it grows. And then, because this is kind of long, we're going to try to wrap it up with one more sentence. So, so the larva. So
what is that? It's after it loses.
The larva will lose its shell as it grows. Okay, and then let's see. So after growing some more, the larva will make a shell.
It will make a shell?
Yeah, it will make a shell, or will make a shell. And then turn into a butterfly in the shell. Okay, so after growing some more, the larva will make a shell.
And it will what?
Some more. The larva will make a shell and then turn into a butterfly.
Wait, no. I'm just the larva will make its shell
and equal butterfly.
And grow and turn into a butterfly. And you can copy it in your own words too. Like when we get down to the rest of it, you're gonna summarize it in your own words. So we won't, for the next couple after this, we'll do it all together. And then for the last couple, you'll do it on your own, okay? So.
Are we here because we're Are we here because we're failing language arts?
No, you are not failing language arts.
I haven't seen my grades.
I needed to do an assignment for my class, and so I asked your teacher, and she said this group would be great to do this with because they behave so nicely.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know why you're here, whoosh.
Okay.
When your behavior grades are worse than mine.
Guys. Okay, you almost done? Okay, so now does that make sense for everyone?
Yeah.
Kind of what we're doing? Okay, cool. Yes. So let's see. I have a question I'm gonna ask you guys. Okay, so then after writing my summary, I'm going to compare the original text to my summary, which we kind of did while we were writing it. So we can just skim over it right now. And then the most important thing about summarizing it is to make sure you put it in your own words when you get to your writing. So you can paraphrase a little bit, but try to use your own words or your own descriptions. So why do you think it is important to have this skill, to be able to summarize things?
To make it easier to write essays.
True. Mm-hmm.
Make it
On
easier
computers
to
specifically.
understand.
To understand, yeah. I know that when I'm reading, especially like in college, and I'm reading a lot of like really sciencey stuff, that it really helps to be able to go in and underline and highlight big ideas. So that way when I'm trying to understand it, it makes it easier for me. So those are all great points.
Yeah, like it will help you like kind of like describe like whatever you're reading in easier and shorter.
Exactly, yeah. And when you have to write a paper eventually, it's a good way to write your paper too, especially if you have to use a source or something. So,
ChatGPT.
okay, so now, no, you should not do that. You should be able to write a paper on your own.
Oh, no.
Okay, so now we will work on this together, kind of like what we just did. Did you use all the paper? Okay, that's okay. I have paper if you need more paper. So now we will work on this together. I will read the text out loud while you guys follow along on your own, like we just did. And then after we finish reading, I want you to turn and talk to your partner, which we can just have like a group conversation. Okay, really? We'll just have a group discussion because there's only 4 of you. But yeah, so then after we finish reading together, we'll have a group discussion or a class discussion about what we should highlight. So I want to hear from you guys after we read what you think is important. And then as you talk, start highlighting or underlining the information that we should summarize. And then once you have that finished highlighting, turn your paper over and we'll discuss what we should write next. So we'll do these two, the next two. Do you want me to read them out loud or do you want to read them on your own? Out loud? Okay, I'll do out loud. Sorry, you have been outvoted, my friend. Okay, so follow along, and then we'll talk about it together afterwards, okay? So, the butterfly starts out with damp wings. They have been crumbled inside the pupa. So the first thing it does is spread its wings. They are damp from being inside the pupa. So it takes the butterfly about 20 minutes to spread its wings and dry them. Then, about 2 hours later, the butterfly is ready to fly. Then the skipper flies to find food it finds growing in the tall grass prairie. On the ground and below it, you will find the ground squirrel. This animal is about 1 foot long and lives in big families. It has a brown coat to camouflage it when it moves along the ground. Animals use camouflage color to blend with their habitat. It is a kind of protection. The ground squirrel is an herbivore. That means it eats plants. It eats grass, so there is much food in this prairie. Sometimes it eats insects too. It hibernates in winter. Okay, so what do you notice about these 2 paragraphs? They're short. What do you notice about the sentences in them too? Owen?
I underlined most of them.
Okay, yeah. Yes. Not long.
They give a lot of information.
It does. Was that what you were gonna say?
I was
Yeah.
gonna say they're very informational.
It was very informational. I noticed that not only were the paragraphs short, but the sentences were short.
Yeah.
So I think we could pretty easily combine some sentences and summarize these in probably 1 or 2 sentences. You guys agree?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay.
I just know something. is still accurate. That's written in 1999. That's over 20 years.
I don't know. I would assume it's still accurate because I don't think this changes very much. That long. Okay, so you guys, while I was reading, did you guys go in and underline anything?
The butterfly.
A lot? Okay, what did you guys underline or highlight?
The butterfly.
entirety of the first
The
paragraph
butterfly
and most of the
starts
sentence.
out. They have wings. They have crumbled inside pupa. First, it spreads its wings.
Okay.
Damn.
I'm gonna pause right there. Are we underlining everything or just what we think is important?
Just when it's important.
Okay, what were you gonna say?
How did it takes the butterfly about 20 minutes to spread its wing and dry?
Good, very good.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, so it takes the butterfly about 20 minutes to spread its wings and dry them. Good job. Okay, what else did you guys underline or highlight? Did you do anything else in that first paragraph? Yes.
No. I did some stuff in the second.
Is a
I
Okay.
circled ground and below it.
Herbivore?
Yeah.
Okay. So, okay, hold on. Let me pause with you again. Did anyone highlight or underline anything else in the first paragraph we talked about?
Oh yeah, but like I'm kind of realizing it now. I don't think it was that much.
Okay. What did you underline or
Talks
highlight?
about the same
So
thing.
when it's like then about so after that sentence I was telling you, it says then about say 2 hours later the butterfly is ready to fly.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I think that's good information to know, but then when we actually start summarizing, we can decide all together if we want to include it or not. But I think it's important. Okay. Moving on to the second paragraph. What did people highlight?
The ground and below.
The ground and below it.
Yeah.
Why did you highlight that?
Because that's where it mostly stays, and that's like its environment.
Okay. You're gonna underline that then. What else did you guys underline or highlight?
I did this animal is about 1 foot long and lives in big families.
Very nice. More information about what animal we could be talking about. What else?
I also highlighted it has a brown coat to camouflage it. So
Very good.
You know like what they do.
Mm-hmm. Brown coat to camouflage it. Okay. What else? What else did you highlight?
I used the quote, the ground squirrel is a herbivore.
Good job. That's a good one.
I
it
underlined
hibernates in the winter.
I underlined what it eats.
What it eats. Okay. Did you underline that means it eats plants or it eats grass? So there's
I
much
underlined both.
of them? Okay. So I would say that because the second sentence kind of just restates what the first sentence says, we could almost just underline the first sentence. Just for when we summarize. So, okay. Anything else we want to underline?
I underlined it hibernates and it eats insects too.
That it eats insects? I got you. Okay. So, now that we have gone through and we've discussed what we've underlined, I want you guys to flip over to the back. And for your first question is, do you think we could combine or summarize these two paragraphs into one summary?
I don't think so.
Or do you think we'll need two summaries?
I think we should
need to, because they're different
talk about
things.
different things.
Okay, good idea. Okay, so for the third paragraph, just like that. For the third
In fourth.
and fourth, but right now just looking at the third because we're doing them separately. How would you guys summarize that sentence? Or that paragraph?
Can I get describing this part?
Can you what?
Describing this part.
Can you get what? I'm sorry.
Describing.
Yeah, sure.
How I would summarize it is basically, I would say the ground squirrel is a herbivore and mainly.
Yeah. We're doing the butterfly. We're gonna finish up with the butterfly and then we'll go into ground squirrel.
The butterfly starts out with its wings wet, and it takes around 20 minutes for them to dry, it typically tends to spread its wings immediately after this
Okay.
process.
Yeah, okay. So just the butterfly starts with its wings wet, with wet wings. And then what after that?
It spreads its wings to make it easier to dry,
Okay.
and it would take around
takes
2 hours for it to be ready to fly.
Okay, so it spreads its wings to dry them. And then it takes 2 hours to be able to fly?
To be ready to fly.
To be ready to fly? Okay. Two hours for, and I'll say the butterfly this time. To be ready to fly. Okay, does that sound good with everyone? For that one? Does anyone want to add anything? You want your paper back, Owen, or do you want me
I'll just use it.
to? Here.
Can I read the summary?
Yeah, of course. Here, you want to? I'll show you. Just for you can look at the front.
Probably look at NAS because NAS has the same things around.
Okay, so now moving on to the fourth paragraph, aka squirrels. What should we summarize, or what do you want to summarize? Yes.
It lives under the ground.
It lives under the ground?
Yeah.
Okay.
It is a herbivore, which means it eats plants.
Okay, perfect. So I will start with, oh, actually, so because I know the,
I just want to do something real quick.
what do you have to do?
Wait, I
I
have
have
an
to use the
idea.
bathroom.
How about you stay here until we're done, okay? We're almost done.
I have an idea kind of like this.
Mm-hmm.
So you could say like, it sounded better in my head.
No, you're fine. So I would, because the fourth paragraph doesn't tell us what the animal is right away, when we summarize it, I would start with what the animal is. So like
Ground squirrel.
the ground squirrel. Yeah.
Maybe they live
lives
on
underground.
Okay. So yes.
I was thinking, the ground squirrel is an animal that is about 1 foot long, lives in big families, and you can find it under.
Perfect. Okay. So let me figure out how to spell squirrel. 'Cause I don't. Okay. Yeah. So the ground squirrel is, and then what else did you say?
Is an animal that is about 1 foot long and lives in big families.
Perfect. That is. Are you writing this down now? Or you could write it in your own words too. You don't have to write what we're writing.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah. Okay, so the ground squirrel is an animal that is about 1 foot long. Yeah. What else did you say? Is about 1 foot long
It lives
Lives in big
underground.
families.
and lives in big families. And then we can say, because we talk about where it lives with big families, we can then say it lives underground and just kind of like connect our thoughts. And it can camouflage. Okay, so period. Okay, so first sentence. This ground squirrel is an animal that is about 1 foot long and lives with a big family. So, and then we can say it lives underground. And should we say it camouflages too?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. And it can camouflage. Oh, no, it's not. Camouflage. Okay, cool. What else should we mention? It's a herbivore? Nice. Okay.
It means only eats plants.
Very good.
And sometimes you could say the ground squirrel is a herbivore that eats
Doesn't that make it an omnivore? That would make it an omnivore.
plants and insects.
That would make it an omnivore.
Some people, insects are kind of up in the air. Because they are meat, but they're not like a deer or something that's like really meat heavy. So it is a herbivore. Okay, so it is a herbivore. What else?
That eats plants and insects.
Could we say that, like you said earlier, where the third from last, where it says it eats grass? Do you want to say that it eats plants, or do you want to specify that it eats grass? Plants. Grass. It eats plants and bugs, and occasionally bugs. Is that what it is too? So sometimes. So it is a herbivore that eats plants and bugs sometimes. Cool. Okay. Is that what we want to say for 3 and 4?
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. Now, take it away. For the last 2 paragraphs, sorry, let me back up. Does everyone feel good about how we summarized that? Anyone want to add anything? No? Oh, and you ready to be gone?
Yes.
I gotcha. Okay, well, this is the last. We're going to do one more where you do the last 2 paragraphs, and then we're going to do a small exit ticket, and then you're free to go, okay? We'll be quick.
Do we summarize it by ourselves?
Yeah. So for the last 2 paragraphs, you'll read them to yourselves. I can read them to you if you want. And then you will highlight what you want to highlight and summarize it on your own. Oh, yeah. Did I give you, is that yours? Yes. Okay. So, take your time. You good, Matlow?
I need to write 3 and 4.
That's okay. Well, because we talked 3 and 4 out loud, so you don't have to write it down. You can just go straight to 5 and 6.
What's this?
Grace?
Yeah.
So Grace is
So
like
I know highlighting the entire thing.
Anyway, sorry. So if you like think everything is important, then you could go through and like, what's that paragraph about? Like, what's the main idea in that paragraph? Graze means they kind of like pick at it. Like they don't they eat like very lightly.
Can I think ready?
Okay, so what's the main idea?
Of the bison in the first one. The second one is about designing the plants.
Okay, so just focus on information that's important to that.
So for the bison,
Yes, okay.
the bison,
Hold on, where's my pencil? Okay, this is number 5, right? Paragraph 5? Okay, got it.
the bison
And this is gonna be a little sloppy because I'm just writing it fast, so.
eats extremely large plants because it's another herbivore. Wait, I need to read the thing. Oh yeah, actually I'm reading that.
Okay. So the bison eats extremely large. Wait. Yeah.
It also eats weeds, which helps maintain the prairie.
Weeds.
Without the bison, weeds might cover the prairie. That's why the bison's job is very important.
Okay. So the bison eats extremely large plants and weeds. And then, okay, so we're gonna start. So we will say large plants and weeds, period. This helps control the weeds. Does that sound good? This helps control the weeds. Okay, and then what else? This helps control.
I feel like that's what we were on the space for next one.
Okay.
The next one is, I think it said design a. This one?
Yeah.
Next one said design a prairie plant that all 3 of the animals shown could eat.
So
For
design.
example, grass for the ground squirrel, huge plants or weeds for the bison,
At least
and small leaves for the caterpillar.
Okay, hold on, sorry.
But do you have to do the
design-
butterfly too?
He did. The caterpillar / butterfly. So design a prairie plant that all three animals could eat. For example,
Weeds or big plants for the bison, grass or small plants or medium plants for the ground squirrel, and leaves for the caterpillar.
so large weeds for the bison, medium weeds for the, or what was the, we'll say medium plants.
Medium plants for the ground squirrel.
Okay. Medium plants for the ground squirrel. And leaves for the butterfly.
Yeah. Is it okay if I leave? Because I also need to pack up and get in. I also need to go back to the clinic to get a Band-Aid.
Oh, yeah, hold on. Okay. Okay. Yep, that looks good.
I read on space.
What do I do with this?
I'll collect it at the
I
end.
read on
So you
space.
can.
I read on space. Did I write my name or something?
So did you finish summarizing 5 and 6?
No.
Okay. Did you finish 5?
No.
Here.
I read on space.
Finish summarizing 6 on there, okay? How are you doing that long? How are you doing, Athena?
Good. I'm on my last sentence of this.
Okay. Do you need more space or are you good? Or more paper? Okay. I have more paper if you need it. So what are you guys writing about? What do you think is important to summarize?
Right now, I'm summarizing about how without the bison, the prairie would be filled with weeds.
Very good, very good. What about you, Netlong? Same thing?
Yeah, I think I'm bisons are a herbivore that picks on food. When weeds start to grow, bison eats them. Without bison, weeds could take over land and plants need. Bison help to maintain the balance of the environment and weeds and plants.
Sounds good, really good. Good job.
So I wrote.
Thank you, you're free to go.
The bison is a large animal that also eats a lot of weed. That is why the bison's job is so important. Without the bison, the prairie would be filled with weeds. And that's because I rushed.
Good. Okay, what about paragraph 6?
I don't know what's right there.
So design a plant. So what are the main things that paragraph 6 talks about?
It talks about choose
So,
all three of the animals that are not that could grow on the prairie. Your flower plant must resist high wind and the sea.
yeah.
It's time to go.
Okay.
And we're gonna go outside.
Can I read this?
Yeah, sure, read it. Here,
The
I'll take it.
bison is
Let's go.
Hold on.
For the prairie. It ate weeds. It is also a herbivore. Without the bison, weeds might overgrow and take over the prairie.
Perfect. Exactly what I needed. Okay, you're good to go. Thank you so much. Go enjoy. Are you guys going to recess?
Yeah.
Go enjoy recess.